Yo, YouTube, what's up? It's your boy Desi Lux. I'm back at it again with another YouTube video. Niggas been on the grind, man. I gotta check out the streams on Twitch. Desi Lux on Twitch. Pretty much Desi Lux everywhere except Twitter, where it's Lux Desi, because somebody already had Desi Lux. Crazy. Anyway, bro, we back at it with another video. We on the grind. And now this is a topic I care a lot about. I feel very strongly about this. So I'm probably gonna yap a lot in this fucking video. But I'm gonna try and let the video play. I don't want to pause too much, but I got a lot to say about this video. Man, why the NBA? Excuse me, how the NBA media became so toxic? Cause let me tell you right now, I'm so sick of the NBA media. How the games been. I've been sick for a long time. But we gonna get into it. We're gonna let my man talk. And then without further ado, like, comment, subscribe. Got any other videos you want me to react to, bro? I'm willing to react to almost anything. You feel me? As long as it's on YouTube. So it don't even gotta be on YouTube, Twitter, whatever, man. We gonna watch it. But man, let me get into this, man. I got a lot to say.
In the last few years, the NBA media landscape has started to look like the sports version of the Kardashians. Seems like every couple of weeks, some former player grabs national headlines and creates drama out of thin air.
Man.
Isaiah Thomas recently went off on LeBron.
I would never let one of my players walk out on the floor looking like this.
Yeah, let me talk about this, cause when I saw this was so wild to me that Isaiah Thomas was talking about LeBron like this. Now, I'm going to preface my comments saying I'm a huge LeBron fan. I grew up a LeBron fan. LeBron's my favorite player, granted. But, dog, this was... So, like, for those who don't know, like, LeBron, he come to the games, like, 6 hours early. Like, to do his routine, right? What he do to get ready and get locked in. This is like 4 or 5 hours before anybody's in the arena. You can see all the seats. All the seats. It's empty in there. You talking about you would never let your player come in there with because he has no shirt? Are you serious? Because he has no shirt. Meanwhile, you played in the era where people were dope fiends and crackheads. And you talking about you would never let your player with no shirt? Man, I'm gonna just let the video play, and I'm gonna talk. Oh my god, this shit makes me so mad.
Kendrick Perkins had notable beefs with Draymond
This
Green,
dude, bro.
Kevin Durant, LeBron, and plenty of others. Shaquille O'Neal might be the biggest
Bro, don't
provocateur
get
of
me
all,
started.
having public feuds with JaVale McGee.
I'm so tired of them.
Dwight Howard, Rudy Gobert, KD, Donovan Mitchell.
You don't have what it takes to get to the next level. I said it on purpose. I want you to hear it. What do you have to say about that?
All right.
This was so crazy. I remember watching this. Like, bro, did he just say that to this man's face? Like, bro, I understand you. First of all, you think that, because I already know what people are going to say. Oh, he trying to motivate him and all this shit. Nigga, that's not your job, nigga. That's not your job to be niggas motivated. Your job is to commentate, analyze basketball. The X's and the O's, nigga. The performance of players. I don't want to hear these analysts talking about I'm trying to motivate you. Who are you, a motivational speaker? What are you talking about?
As well as beefing with other analysts like Shannon Sharp. Shaq's colleague on Inside the NBA, Charles Barkley, often shows distaste for the current state of the NBA, bashing the style of play and calling players soft.
They don't play every game, they rest, they fly private jets. When I played, we flew commercial.
Chuck's recent feud with the Lakers coach J.J. Redick is just the tip of the iceberg, as he's had feuds with Kobe, Bron, and KD, along with many others,
Bro.
even former players who are not constantly featured on national media.
Bro, this is the really sad part, because basketball is my favorite sport, but I also really love football, and I pay attention somewhat to other sports. No other sport is covered like the NBA. None. No other sport. You don't have the former players bashing. You don't see in football, you don't see like the old great players talking about, it's soft now and da da. You don't see this, man. You don't see in baseball them talking about how much people are getting paid. You don't see in soccer people talking about how much people are getting paid and the flopping and all that. Bro, I'm tired of this, bro. I'm tired of you niggas, bro.
Find ways to criticize when they appear on various podcasts. Wally Zerbiak called Tyrese Halliburton a wannabe all-star, completely unprompted.
Last chance down 3 for the wannabe all-star. Let me keep it that way. He's in his second year.
Wally Zerbiak, who the fuck are you to be talking about who anybody is? My nigga? You was a wannabe nothing. Because you wasn't even nothing. Like, bro, you talking about Tyrese? Like, bro, you were literally nothing, bro. I'm from Minnesota, bro. You were nothing, bro. Talking about he's a wannabe also.
He's a very good player. He's not going to make the all-star team.
Although Halliburton is a much better player than Zerbiak ever was.
A million times better.
People who come before me, but
A million times better.
I don't know. He had a lot to say about me.
Before the playoffs.
I was really like questioning, like, first, who is this?
Who are
Magic
you?
Johnson often finds a way to poke current players. Most recently, clashing with Anthony Edwards.
So I had to just hit him, you know, like, look, man, talk to me when you want something.
When Edwards spoke about not wanting
Magic Johnson. First of all, I'm so sick of this. Oh, talk to me when you went to this. This only happens in the NBA, and it makes me so. First of all, Magic Johnson, how about you talk to me when you have HIV? What are you talking about? How about you talk to me when you disease free, nigga? Man, God knew not to have me in the NBA. I'd be talking
face of the
crazy.
NBA, LeBron stood in his defense, citing the trend of negative media coverage.
Why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody?
Literally,
The NBA is the only sports league in the world where former players and media are constantly talking trash about the current players and downgrading
exactly
the
what
level
I
of the
said.
product, even though
Exactly
the
what
skill
I
level in
said.
the NBA is the highest it's ever been. Meanwhile, in the NFL, you don't hear Joe Montana going on podcasts and throwing young quarterbacks under the bus. Wayne Gretzky never downplays the current level of hockey in the NHL, and Derek Jeter doesn't talk trash about today's shortstops in Major League Baseball. But why is the NBA so toxic? Why did it become the National Hater League? How did creating drama seem to become the media's main goal, instead of praising the sport and the superstars who push the league forward? Some 40 years ago, back in the 80s, the relationship between the NBA superstars and the media was in a much better place. The league had a much smaller following, and both the league and its stars...
You talking about back when these niggas was plumbers and electricians and dope fiends? Like, bro, these were pill heads. These was junkies on the court.
needed to have great relationships with journalists, since it was in everybody's best interest to push a great story forward. So beat reporters used to travel with stars on team flights. They'd grab drinks and have dinner with players, and the relationships were so intimate that reporters even got invited to players' homes. Jack McCallum, a longtime NBA writer for Sports Illustrated, covered Michael Jordan's career intimately. And it was a mutually beneficial friendship, since Jordan needed a media voice to increase visibility, as there was no widespread TV coverage.
All of our games are on television every single day.
So the players and the media used to be like this,
may be able to catch one game.
They used to be like this.
If your team had a local broadcast deal, you could catch it. And if not, then you may not see a game once every couple of You maybe catch one or two games, you know, every other week.
Occasionally, McCallum and other beat writers would write something negative about the players they were covering, but due to the long-lasting relationships they've built, those disagreements would be smoothed out instantly. By the late 90s, the popularity of the NBA blew up, and so did the coverage of the league. Even though beat reporters still had the most powerful voice, TV shows like Inside the NBA...
And it's crazy because this gotten worse over the years. Like, I remember back in the 2000s, they used to call the dudes in the NBA thugs. Is anybody old enough to remember this? They used to call Allen Iverson and like Kenyon Martin and a lot of these dudes in the Ron. They used to call them thugs, gangsters. What does this got to do with basketball? And now with the evolution of social media, these dudes have just become rage baiters, become like just take worst take givers trying to get the most clickbait, the most interactions, the most impressions, and it's morphed into something outside of the realm of the sport. Man, oh my god. And bro, it gets me so hot that I don't even watch sports media anymore. I just watch the games or the highlights. I cannot watch. Well, like niggas was talking about when inside the NBA, it's like, oh, people are sad that it's good. I'm glad it's over. I'm tired of them. Even though it's not really over because they just finna go on ESPN and Lord knows them being in proximity of Stephen A. and First Take, Lord knows what type of bullshit's about to come out of their mouth.
NBA started to gain a lot of traction. When Charles Barkley joined Kenny Smith and Ernie Johnson on TNT, the show became a sensation.
Bro, this shit get me hot, bro.
You're a rookie, you'll go last. Kenny Smith is here. Peter Vesey is here.
Really
and what separated inside the NBA from all the other media forms was
because
their
it
sense of
used to be
humor,
about
along
basketball.
with the traditional
As someone who loves basketball,
commentary.
I want to see people talk about basketball, talking about the sport. All I hear them is bash the way it's played, and bro, man, I'm sure he's because Nonstop does great videos.
And even though the guys on Inside criticized players, Smith and Barkley had all the credibility in the world, since they were both former players, and because they weren't shy of making fun of themselves.
And that's my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
Hey,
Happy birthday.
Your mom's birthday on Halloween?
Halloween, man.
I'm not even going to touch that.
Yeah, you met my mother yesterday. You better be
Hey,
nice.
you know I love your mother.
There you go.
But then, in 2007, ESPN launched First Take with Skip Bayless, who first popularized debate shows in
This nigga was the downfall, one of the, if not the main downfall of NBA media. And I'm so happy that he's fucking not doing well. I don't know how, I don't think his shit is doing well because it would have been in my algorithm if I seen his shit on YouTube. This man, you gotta understand something. This man made generational wealth off of hating on LeBron James. Off of just pure hating, bro. Hating, bro. Man made generational wealth. And obviously, the followers of the world, the little hyenas, they see somebody succeed at something, even though it being negative, they're like, oh, I'm trying to get generational wealth too. So now they all follow the trend, and that's how we get to where we are now.
In America.
Their superstar, their MVP, their Michael Jordan refused to play in the second half when he had a little finger injury.
However, it wasn't until 2012 and Stephen A. Smith's arrival at First Take that the show really exploded, becoming the #1 sports talk show in America. Bayless and Smith's passionate debates captured audiences unlike anything else on TV, and they became more popular than the majority of the players they were covering, even though their knowledge of the sport was moderate at best.
Well, first of all, you have the presumption that people care what you say. They don't.
Bayless recognized that controversy spiked the ratings far more than any positive talk.
Oh my God,
he
talk
kept
about
milking
it,
the
bro.
cash cow. He first garnered national attention by critiquing Allen Iverson.
I don't know.
I remember this, bro. He was talking to AI like he was a little nigga, bro.
You, but trust me, I do not hate you. And I sincerely love, and I've said this many times, watching the offensive shows that you do put on. And I sincerely hope I have now inspired you to win your first NBA championship. But it ain't going to happen.
And with LeBron James, he went one step further, becoming the biggest, or at least the loudest, LeBron hater in the world.
The most talented player in the game, in 4 of the last 5 playoffs, has flamed out.
Skip became known as the person who feuds with athletes and says obnoxious things that no one else would dare to say.
I think you're having a problem crushing me because you've avoided every question that we've asked you.
When Chris Bosh joined the Heat, Skip started calling him Bosh Spice because he felt Bosh.
I remember that, and that was so crazy. You was calling Chris Bosh a bitch, bro. You was calling him a bitch, bro. And he's a grown man. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if he was in person and this was not on camera, and you wouldn't be calling him Bosh Spice to his face. Man, they talk about the NBA being weak. Y'all is weak, bro. Y'all is weak. The media, y'all weak. And all the people who be feeding into that, y'all weak too, bro.
played soft and with a lack of aggression.
To me, it's going over the line when you say Bosh Spice, because that's referring to him as being a female.
A woman.
Bosh had a problem with the Bosh Spice nickname, and so he went on First Take and confronted Skip.
My great-grandfather, my
I wouldn't
father,
even, boy, Bosh is better than me. I wouldn't have gone on his show.
uncles, you know, we're very prideful with the Bosh name, and I don't like it being made fun of, and I you know, I don't think they appreciate it either.
But Skip didn't care because he was drawing more viewers than anybody else on TV. That's all that mattered to him.
That's all he
Back
cared
then,
about,
social
bro.
media was in its infancy, and athletes didn't have the voice or the platform to combat hot takes from the likes of Bayless and Steve.
Yo, this.
And athletes didn't have the voice or the platform to combat hot takes from the.
This was so funny. I remember watching this like whole interaction back and forth going down. For somebody who doesn't really get into like back and forth with people, LeBron, this was a A+ master class in going back and forth and trolling somebody. This was hilarious. This was so funny, bro. If you don't know, man, I wish you could have been there live because seeing this live was hilarious.
The likes of Bayless and Stephen A. And because they were so good at what they did, Bayless and Smith started a revolution where it no longer mattered to have great relationships with the players, as long as the ratings were good. Over the next decade, debate shows started to blossom, with many of them saying outlandish stuff.
That nigga, Jason Whitlock, is one of those. Skip walked so he could run. And the fact there are even people like him in the space who were birthed from Skip is exactly why we have a fucking problem.
To boost the ratings.
Damn it, I'm tired of this, man. I'm tired of stuff like this. Ooh, I got you. You all right? I'm sorry, I did too much.
But with the rise of technology and social media, the athletes
he
started
bugging out.
talking too, creating shows and podcasts of their own. However, even though the athletes could finally fight back and had full control over their words, the media discourse didn't get any better. In fact, it got worse.
There were infamous moments in First Take's history where an athlete went directly to
Man, I'm so glad he out of there too.
With new podcasts emerging seemingly every day, there was a
rock with
complete
Gills
frenzy
Arena.
resembling reality TV. Instead of talking about basketball and everyday storylines of the NBA, a lot of media coverage became responding to what other people said on various podcasts and
Literally.
talk shows.
Face, I don't care. I'm just telling you, I want to punch his ass in the face. I do.
If you feel that strongly about something, he's seen me a million times.
You're not
If you feel
punching
that strongly
nobody,
about it, then
bro.
punch me in my face
Stop.
when you see me.
Soon enough, the new media, a term coined by Draymond Green, was battling the old media and the likes of Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins, who were still thriving on debate shows.
God.
Perkins in particular became a
Don't even
national
start on
sensation for
Perk.
his hot takes.
When you come on TV and now you're taking yourself out of the basketball space and you coming on here and you being the NBA analyst, homies don't matter no more. You got to come on here and speak the truth.
And a willingness to upset current NBA players, some of whom were his former teammates.
We all need to come to realization that James Harden's game is on the decline right before our very eyes.
Like many others, Big Perk followed the blueprint set up by Skip Bayless.
I don't think that
But
takes
since he
that
was
takes
a
not
former
that
player
bad.
and an NBA champion, his voice
I've
was
seen horrible
arguably even
conversation.
more powerful, and it set up.
Man, the take that he had a few months ago, saying Anthony Edwards can't be the face of the NBA because he is not married or something like that. All the faces were married men. I'm sorry. Do we want to go down a list of some of these dudes who've been the face of the NBA, quote unquote? The only one that I could really throw out there with like who has no smear on him is LeBron. We want to talk about Magic? Do we really want to do? We want to talk about Wilt? Do we? Do we really want to talk about some of these? Do we want to talk about Barkley? Do we want to talk about Karl Malone? Are we going to talk about these people? Are we going to do with these dudes where like the modern players, if they do something, it's going to be with them for the rest of their life? Because let's get to it with Magic and Malone and them. Let's get to it. Oh, we don't want to do that. Oh, that would be disrespecting the game. Oh, okay.
Set up a series of controversies that became national news. Perk had beef with Kevin Durant, calling his move to Golden State the weakest he's ever seen. A few years later, Perk had a feud with Draymond, who didn't hold anything back.
Because all these dumb talking heads never done it,
They don't understand
Boy.
it. Even the one that has done it don't act like he's done it because he's an idiot and a moron and wasn't really that good of a player. And so I'm talking about Kendrick Perkins, by the way.
Of course, Perkins retaliated, which created another wave of news cycle that had nothing to do with the actual NBA.
We all know, dog. We all know. You all bark and no bite. We know this.
What does this have
The
to do
NBA
with
brothers know
basketball?
this.
When LeBron James had an on-court disagreement with Stephen A. Smith about the coverage of his son Bronny,
Man, I
Stephen
had
A.
no
went on a
problem with LeBron
talking
approaching
marathon
him.
about the incident.
You talk about my son, it's up.
Player confronting me. That was a parent. That was a father.
Bron had this nigga shook.
And
Bron
I can't
had
sit
Stephen
here
A. shook.
and be angry or feel slighted by LeBron James in any way in that regard.
Smith talked about LeBron for a whole week.
I thought it was weak. I thought it was some bullshit.
How you go from not feeling angry or slighted to you think it is weak and bullshit? Huh? In a matter of like a day or two, a few days. Interesting. It sounded like because the energy he stepped to you with, you wasn't prepared for. So you kind of froze up in the moment, and now you're mad and you wish you could have said things, which is why you went on that little tour. What Bron call it? He said the Taylor Swift tour. And you was going on all these podcasts and stuff talking about he's soft and all that. I said, you soft. You should have said all this when you was in front of him.
But in the moment, I knew that I was listening to a father.
And Perkins joined in, citing that he's no longer friends with James and that he blocked him on social media. Players have long hated being criticized, but something is different now.
Bro, who
the comments
cares,
are
bro?
meaner, nastier, and more personal.
I think people in the media have
They
gotten
a
too
lot more
comfortable, especially with our
personal,
sport. They got too comfortable
more
where,
less
you know,
basketball.
back in the day, like for sure, you would never bring up Charles Oakley's brother. Charles Oakley will smack you through his brother.
When Charles Barkley said that the Grizzlies point guard Ja Morant wasn't the kind of player who made his teammates better, Morant replied with one word on Twitter, knee pads, alluding that Barkley can assume the kneeling position to not be more graphic. Even though Barkley's criticism of Morant was fairly reasonable at the time,
that's not
and
that
wasn't
bad,
really
though.
trash talk, what Sir Charles ranted about J.J. Redick and the Lakers can hardly be described as constructive criticism.
JJ, if you come for the king, you better not miss. Because I can get you, brother, because I got your Lakers games. We're the reason ratings are down. We're the reason, like we playing.
If I'm a casual fan and you tell me every time I turn on the television that the product sucks, well, I'm not going to watch the product. And
Duh.
That's really what has happened.
Is that
over the
like
last
not
15 years.
make sense?
I don't know why. It's not funny to me.
Redick's remarks were on point, because what's the point of berating the league that feeds everyone's mouths, including those of analysts? But Barkley strongly disagreed, doubling down on his take that the league is in a bad place with the amount of three-point shooting.
If you're just going to come out and have a three-point shooting contest every night, that's going to turn the average fan off.
Bro,
However,
what do
with
you
all
know
the
about the
comparisons
average
to
fan,
old times and that players in the
not
previous
a role
eras were
model.
better, it's hard to argue with JJ's point. Granted, basketball in the 90s was more physical, and it's the biggest reason why the players from that era think of today's players as soft. But just because the rules allowed guys to punch each other when driving to the basket, it doesn't mean the actual basketball was better.
Thank you, bro, because I'm so sick of these people talking about, bro, it was dudes back then that couldn't dribble. It was dudes back then that couldn't shoot. It was dudes back then that like, bro, you could not play zone. You had to play people one-on-one. Bro, what are we talking about, bro? Just because they was playing jail ball, that makes it better basketball?
On the contrary, the level of basketball is better than ever.
That's how I feel.
As pretty much every player can dribble, pass, and shoot.
Literally.
Moreover, in today's NBA, it's much harder to play defense because you got to run after the Steph Currys of the world for an entire possession.
Because dudes are a lot more skilled.
You can't grab people because of the hand-checking rule.
Oh, man.
And you can't knock players out under the pretense of playing hard defense.
This what we want to see in the NBA?
And you can't
This
knock
what we want to
players
bring back? We got,
out
first of all,
under the pretense
we
of
got Lambeer dropping double elbows. And then this nigga Rodman doing a Booker T sidekick. This is what we want? Oh my God.
Playing hard defense. On offense, there's a lot more passing before the actual shot.
This is beautiful basketball.
One more. Harris,
Beautiful basketball.
3 more.
And since there's more space on the floor, there's much more player movement, screening, and cutting. More often than not, all 5 players are involved in the action and touch the ball before the actual shot. And sure, while it's true that a lot of shots in the current NBA are three-pointers, what some old NBA players and fans seem to forget is that the 3 is simply replacing the long 2 because it's more efficient and players are more skilled to hit from the outside. Yes, it's not all positive.
Shout out to the long 2, like
are really ticky.
The long 2 is coming back though, like
outside.
Like there's like SGA, won an MVP. You know what I'm saying? He a long 2 guy. You still got dudes like DeRozan, KD. Them dudes still shoot long 2s. So long 2s, there's a few players who still use it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it's not all positive, as some of the fouls called today are really ticky-tacky, and because of the taunting.
Now that's the part of the NBA that I think is soft nowadays. The refs. I'm so sick and tired of these referees thinking somebody give a fuck about them being there and they calling these bullshit text kicking dudes out the game. I'm tired of it, bro. I'm tired, bro. Like y'all talking about just fly, bro. The reason why it's happening is because the refs be on bullshit. Come on, bro. I can't be the only one to be seeing this.
Rule, you can hardly celebrate a great play without receiving a technical foul.
Come on, man. No way. Come on, way.
But overall, the level of basketball is at an all-time high.
Agreed.
And even though over 40% of all shots are three-pointers, the action that precedes the three-point shot is filled with a great deal of skill, dribble penetration, movement, and cutting. Compare it to the 90s and the early 2000s when the game was played inside the three-point arc, you'll see a lot of static play, with the majority of players just standing.
This is great basketball. Oh man, if dudes doing this now, they call him selfish. They call him just a ISO player. You need to move with the ball and you need to cut. Look, everybody's just standing around, bro. Even the dude with the ball, he can't even shoot from there, so it's no point of him standing out there.
And watching one player dribble the ball for 20 seconds against one defender in isolation. But even with all the knowledge available,
half the league attempted 400 or more total threes in the first 6 seconds of the shot clock. So these early shot clock threes, same thing, 55%.
Really?
It's a good shot.
I can't wrap my head around it. Am I too old school?
In the clear evolution in basketball, you still
old
get
school.
old heads talking about the good old times, and that players from this era couldn't play 30 or 40 years ago. Most players who played in the 90s are still going on various podcasts and saying that Jordan would average 50 in today's game. While it's true that MJ was the greatest player of his era, it's complete nonsense to think he would average 20 points more than Steph, KD, LeBron, or Jokic. And do you know why we know that's nonsense? Because Jordan didn't average 20 points more than Adrian Dantley, Dominique Wilkins, and Larry Bird when he played against them. By the same logic, if Jordan would average 50, then Dantley, Bird, and Neek would all score over 40 and would be better players than pretty much any player today. And do you really?
And that's not happening. I'm sorry, it's not happening. It's not. Bro, he didn't average 40. Jordan played in an area where it was like one or two other dudes who had like a 40-inch vert. Now it's like 2 or 3 of them on every team. Like, what are we talking about?
Think that Adrian Dantley is a better player than LeBron or KD?
No.
Look, with all respect to Dantley, who was a heck of a player, he's not better than those guys. And the question should be, could he play in today's era? Not the other way around. A big reason why there's hate from old NBA alumni is jealousy stemming from the fame, status, and money that the current players are enjoying today. Role players of today earn 10 times what superstars got 30 or 40 years ago.
Right.
And that's not
Wait,
sitting
let me
wait.
see that
Earn
again.
10
Hartenstein on his
what
3-year
superstars got
OKC
30 or
deal
40 years ago.
is only a few $100,000 off from Hakeem's career.
And that's not sitting well with some of the old heads, especially since they had to fly commercial, didn't have proper health care, and were dealing with elbows to the head from opponents nightly.
But this is what they want to bring back to basketball.
Modern NBA players are under more scrutiny than ever before, with everyone and their grandma commenting on their every mistake.
Ja Morant has the skill, the speed, and the star power to make him one of the faces of the NBA. But for the second time in 3 months, we're not talking about his unique talent. We're talking about his choices.
In today's media, every shortcoming of a great player too
Ja
often draws comparisons with the players of old and sparks another hot debate of who was better. If LeBron passes up the opportunity to get a three-point shot, there are great chances that Stephen A. Smith will go on First Take the next day and talk about how LeBron doesn't have a killer mentality and that Jordan would never pass up that shot.
What the hell was that?
And that kind of talk is unnecessary. There's also no reason to throw current players under the bus every other day.
I had Jordan #1, Kobe #2, and I had James Harden at #3, and I was tripping.
To be fair, Stephen A., Kendrick Perkins, and Charles Barkley, they're great at what they do. But to validate JJ Redick's point, you can still be great at talking about basketball without diminishing the value of the NBA and its current superstars. People like Kevin Garnett, Matt Barnes, and Larry Bird are always complimentary about today's players.
You see these old broken down NBA players talking about their era and how great they were back then, and the players today are not as good as they were back then. That's crazy, man. I mean, obviously you haven't seen LeBron James the last 17, 18 years.
Thank you.
You didn't see Klay Thompson score
Thank
37
you.
points.
Somebody
in a
gets
quarter.
it.
Or obviously you don't see James Harden come down the lane getting ready to dunk on whoever's standing there. I mean, it's just amazing how these guys are playing the game today, and I couldn't be more prouder of them.
And they have great, successful shows without bashing the modern era. I don't see why former players feel like it's their spot, or does it make them feel better to disrespect these guys? To me, this is super weak. I don't like it. There's been 5,000 players in the history of the NBA, so that's why it bothers me when former players feel like they have to on the younger players. Matt Barnes. However, in the world we live in, negativity and drama will get more clicks and views than celebrating basketball. That's why, for example, ESPN fired Zach Lowe, who is one of the best analysts in the history of the profession, while Stephen A. Smith has a contract more lucrative than 80% of NBA players. That being said, it's fair to say that the current NBA media ecosystem is flawed, but both sides can still find some form of middle ground. Most fans don't want to watch Mind the Game every day and dwell on basketball tactics Monday through Sunday. For a casual fan, it's easier and more fun to follow debate shows. And that's perfectly fine, as both programs can coexist, and all parties involved can have mutual respect for each other.
No one's saying they gotta get away.
In warm-up and you never shoot it in the game.
I shoot when I have to, Chuck.
Enjoy the beautiful game of basketball.
Like, bro, it can
and
be
the
a
great
healthy
league
balance,
that is
man.
the NBA.
It's just,
Thank you for
too
watching.
far one
and
way,
if you like this
bro.
video, we have another one for you
Hey,
right
man,
here.
Nonstop, this is a great video, man. Shout out to you, man. I feel like I talked enough in this video because I, like, almost doubled the length of this video. This is a fantastic video, man. Shout out to Nonstop, who, man, if you like this video, let me know in the comments any other videos you want me to react to. You can hit me up on my social medias. Those are all in the description. Man, I ain't got nothing else to say, man. I feel like I talked enough. I'm out of here, man. Love y'all. Peace.